Welcome to TEPSA Talk, the podcast where leaders inspire, share, and grow together. TEPSA is dedicated to celebrating the incredible work happening in education. Each episode, we dive into meaningful conversations with leaders, change-makers, and innovators who are shaping the future of our schools. Whether you're looking for fresh ideas, encouragement, or a little spark to fuel your passion, TEPSA Talk is here for you. Imagine tuning in to hear how leaders are revolutionizing their schools, tackling challenges head-on, and fostering a culture of collaboration. Grab a coffee, hit play, and let's grow together. Welcome to TEPSA Talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the TEPSA Talk podcast. I'm your host, Todd Neslony, the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership here at the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. We are thrilled each week to bring you different thought leaders from around the world, and this week I'm excited to have Barbara on with us today. Barbara, thank you so much for being here. Let everybody know a little bit about you.
Oh, thank you. I actually got to speak at TEPSA the year that Michelle Borba was the keynote up in Austin, and I love this group, and I'm so grateful that she would carve out some time. I spent 40 years in education, started in '84 and finished in the schoolhouse in 2024, during which time 15 years teaching Spanish, 25 years as a school counselor. In my encore career, I've been writing some books.
Awesome. So, when we have these conversations with a lot of people, I love to kind of hear the progression, and I love that you've stepped into trying something new. And so my question for you is, you spent a lot of years in education. When did you finally decide, you know what, I'm ready to pursue something different now?
Okay, that was the hardest decision because it was 2018 and we had just come out of Hurricane Harvey, and I had been doing triage for all year long. We had 55 displaced families in my school alone. So at one point, I just was like, man, is there something else I could do but still stay current? And I met Houston Kraft from Character Strong. And Houston said, well, if only we knew a retired school counselor. We're looking for someone to help write Purposeful People, the toolkit at the time. And so I left the schoolhouse in 2018, worked with Character Strong for 3 years, which I still consider as part of my career. And then I had the opportunity to come back and teach junior high kids Spanish 1. So I thought I was done. I was done with school counseling, 25 years, and then 2 bonus years with 8th graders who were signed up for Spanish 1 in the high school. It was just this full circle moment and so beautiful.
So I love that so much. I love that, that's one of the things I hope people hear is that some people decide to step out of the traditional classroom to pursue other passions. And it doesn't mean you didn't love the classroom, because look at you. You did love it and you still went back and still tried some other things with it. And I think that's such a good testament of we're not just on one set path that we're not allowed to deviate from, or, if you leave education, you must never want to come back. It's like, no, those of us who've got it in our bones, it's always part of who we are.
And if we can share what we've learned. Like I subbed the last year and they had a 3rd grade class long-term sub. And I was like, no. I'm a high school Spanish teacher. I really don't know if I can even do 3rd grade math. And that teacher said this, you were my son's school counselor. And if you can help Jack, you can step into my classroom. And I mean, come on, that sort of thing. The sky's the limit, and there's no limit. 3rd grade, bring it. And so she was on a journey through cancer, and I did every Friday that fall, and then for 3 weeks while she was in surgery. And it was unbelievably enrichment, and then so satisfying.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask real quick about that, because I think sometimes school leaders don't have a true perspective over some of the roles that are on the campus. One of those in particular being a sub or being a long-term sub, either one of those. And so my question for you is, being in the classroom for years, being in the role of a counselor for years, what did you find eye-opening or surprising or exciting about being in that sub position?
I don't know if my experience was different from anybody else's because I knew those kids, right? I knew them from kindergarten on. I left them when they were in fourth and fifth, and then I saw them again in the eighth grade and at the high school when I subbed. But my thing is, let's quit calling them subs. Let's call them guest teachers and treat them like a guest in your house. And when you shift that mindset, you are in their house for the day, but you're a guest. And that's the mindset. And the relationships still matter. And it's not just a warm body that you're putting in because the real teacher can't be there, because your sub pool is made up of thousands of real teachers with credentials or not, or we wouldn't be signing up, not for $100 a day.
Well, you've been in this educational world for decades now. How do you keep that fire? How do you keep that joy year after year where you still find it as a place you want to be?
Oh, yesterday I got to go talk to the pals. Again, those kids were in eighth grade when I taught them Spanish, and now they're seniors in high school. And just those hugs. I mean, by the time I was at the door strumming my ukulele like usual, only I was a little nervous because now they're 18 and they could judge that. Oh, I had to stop. I had to stop in between notes and chords just to hug and to affirm. And it was just this symbiotic win-win, right? Because you bring some good energy, you light up for them, which is not hard to do because they're all beautiful souls that just want to be held. You let them know you belong, and they belong, and you belong, and everybody belongs. And I didn't want to leave.
Yeah. I love that so much. Well, now also you're exploring writing and things like that. Talk to me a little bit about when that became heavy on your heart.
So I started in the first grade. My teacher, who was also my grade aunt, she saw a chatterbox and she said, I got to get Barbie to be quiet. So she gave me a little journal book and she said, Barbie, every time you have a question or a comment, please write it down. And I think it's genetic because in my dad's yearbook, they said he'll stop St. Peter's roll call to ask a question. So like curious learners want to know. But she had me writing things down. So I've been writing and keeping journals and diaries. And when I was hit by a drunk driver back in 2013, I slowed down long enough to pen my first book. And it was just kind of a collection of my blog posts. And it's called What's Under Your Cape? Superheroes of the Character Kind. I think I may have even brought you a copy when I saw you in Nutson.
Yep.
And then a foray into children's books, which I've loved since I was in storytelling as a senior in high school, but never thought I could write for my own because I don't consider myself a fiction writer. I kind of just consider myself like I can write stories from the heart that actually really happened. But I thought realistic fiction is a really nice way to create a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So I took my first book, a real life hero. He was a Vietnam War vet. Korean War vet. He came back to the schools to be the janitor with a hearing injury, which caused deafness. He never heard his own children speak. And yet he jingled through the hallways and he was my friend's dad. And I said, Jennifer, you have got such a beautiful story. The kids get excited. They hear this jingling janitor. And she said, yeah, but I'm not a writer, but I know someone who is. And I had no way she would give me her daddy's story. So I started watching janitors. Every time I made a school visit, I would talk to the janitor, like what makes these guys tick? So it's a Mr. Quigley character, but it's a bunch of different handyman, hero, behind the scenes kind of guys, all wrapped up into one character, Mr. Quigley's Keys. And that was in 2021. And now I've got three picture books all together.
I love that so much. And so, if there's people listening today who have been like, I've had this story on my heart, or I've wanted to pursue that, or I wanted to do this. What's your advice for them?
Do it. Like sit down, start a Google Doc, write it all out, figure out 32 or 45 pages. Those are the industry standards, but you don't have to stick to that. And then find someone like Sarah Thomas, who's opening up EduMatch, Teachers for Teachers, right? Or Darren Papard, who's got Road to Awesome. Sarah wasn't doing picture books anymore, so he picked up my last two. And they're small publishing houses, but But if you're writing niche books, like you're a principal, an AP, a supervisor, you're writing a niche book maybe for parents and or caregivers in those elementary developmental years. So those would be your publishers. You can try the big publishers, but I got a lot of rejections, and you have to be okay with rejection. It doesn't mean it's no good. It means it doesn't fit them at the moment. So I guess resilience and a growth mindset, and then someone will say, yeah, that sounds like the kind of book we want to put out there. And I was really, really blessed. Hugert had suggested Darren and Jessica, and they loved both of my ideas.
I love that so much. So what are you working on now?
Okay, so I've been doing all these self-love presentations. So I got this t-shirt from a friend up in Wisconsin, another school counselor, and it's Self-Love Club. And because I've had surgery, so she sends it in the mail. And I was like, okay, this is cute, but there is no way on God's green earth that I'm going to wear a shirt that says Self-Love Club, because we were not taught to love ourselves. That sounds too braggy or too loud or too boisterous or too prideful. So I started researching self-love, Todd, and it's not loud. It's soft. It's gentle. It's that same tenderness that I'm going to give a student in crisis, a teacher in crisis, a parent who feels lost and just needs a sounding board. It's that empathy that just holds space. It's that quiet strength that says, I love myself, and now I've got love to give away. And so that was my message to the pals yesterday, even though they're only 18 years into their legacy. And that's been my message to 2 other groups of school counselors this semester. So at this point, not writing a book so much as writing these presentations where they can just take some seeds and grow them.
Well, one thing that I've learned about school administrators is we are so good about loving on kids and loving on colleagues and things like that. But then when you spend one-on-one talking with so many of us, we're not as kind to ourselves in those moments. So if somebody's listening today thinking, yeah, I haven't been really kind to myself, or you know what, Barbara, I don't even know where to begin. Like I struggle with even finding those good things in me. I can spot them in others. But starting with me, where's a good starting point for people when it comes to this idea of loving who you are?
Something so easy that I've blogged about is mirror mantras. You get up in the morning, you're going to look in the mirror because you got to fix your hair and brush your teeth. I am special. Like it's so counterintuitive to say that. That's how we taught Spanish, 40 reps in front of a mirror. You know what? Listen to yourself, speak Spanish. You know what? Listen to yourself, affirming and affirmations. I am seen. I am safe. I am beautiful. I am enough. For today, for always, for everybody. I am like that safe one is so important, because yesterday it was stepping out of I took my ukulele and sang a song to those seniors, the lava song from that little Pixar short. Like, you have to really be anchored in something to step out of your comfort zone and do that. But it helps to have affirmed myself on the way in and say, I have got something valuable that they need to hear. And so those are so easy. From that, I think, like books, I read back in 1984, Handbook to Higher Consciousness. I got a mantra from there that's just 5 words, always us living love. So the idea is always us living love, always us living love, always us, and then just stressing it. Now you've said 5 beautiful soul filling, because you're looking for nourishment for your soul, right? Because otherwise your tank is empty, and then it's not wholehearted when you're giving it away. Even if you're doing your level best, you're giving away, I don't know, from an empty tank, right. Half-hearted tank. I don't know, but what I know is that's a recipe for burnout if you're not refueling.
Well, and I think like what you said, this sounds so ridiculous or so simple, but it really does make a difference. And I think those daily affirmations really help rewire your brain into believing those things about yourself.
For sure.
Barbara, as we wrap this conversation up, I always love to end them with the same kind of question. And that is, people are going to be listening and taking all sorts of things away from this. But if you hope that they walk away with just one thing, what is your one thing for them?
want them to bring good energy into a room. I want them to light up for kids because that's going to be reciprocated. And it kind of goes with Maxwell's The Law of the Lid, right? Boom. And they're only going as high as I'm going to take them. So again, if the sky's the limit, or better yet, there is no limit, shine, baby, shine. Like glow on, right? Get your glow on.
I love it. Well, Barbara, if people want to connect with you, how can they find more out about you and what you're doing?
So I have two blogs, corneroncharacter.com and barbaragruenerauthor.com. And those both have a contact me, and I'm really always just a click away. I do a lot of mentoring and coaching. I'll come give author visits, presentations, whatever. I'm always, always, always happy to support the people in the field doing the hard work.
I love it. Well, thank you, Barbara, so much for being a guest, and thank you, everybody, for listening or watching another episode. Remember, you can check out all the past episodes on any podcast station. Go ahead and leave us a review, leave us rating, all those kind of things help us reach a bigger audience, and we can't wait to see all of you at the TEPSA Summer Conference. Registration open now. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you, Todd.